we'll pick up where we left off last lecture. All right, so we're trying to understand a strategy. How do we develop a strategy? Whether we are selling a product, whether we are providing a service, and ultimately what does that mean to our customer in terms of symbolism. When we think of symbolism, we talk about metaphors. So if we go into a law office, we will see a bunch of law books on the shelves, right, which we call maybe a law library that a law office may have, certain types of furniture, certain type of environment, maybe even certain type of energy. We would attribute that or associate that with professionalism, right? If we were to go into a law office and see kind of breaking-in furniture, not many books on the shelves, maybe not too many degrees hanging on the walls, and sort of we may think of that seems a little bit less professional. That may not help them get clients. Right? So we know that there are real symbolic metaphors that we attribute to certain services and also certain products. Things that make us feel some type of way about something that we feel should be there necessarily if we find it to be valuable, right? This is the challenge. We say, well, Disney, yes, they have characters. They have Walt Disney World, they have costumes, they have the rides, they have the amusement parks, theme parks, but ultimately they are selling what? As symbolism. What are they selling? What kind of service are they providing?
Happiness?
Hey, enjoyment, happiness, right? Really, they're selling fantasy. We all love fantasy. It's escapism. We love to escape this stressful, anxious life that we live, right? Much more be happy immersing ourselves into a different world. Hence why we watch certain movies and shows and do certain things, right? It works well because we still may have that childlike sort of creativity with us. We're probably influenced by Disney to some degree, whether it was a movie or a show or Mickey Mouse. And we're how we have it ingrained in us. If we have children, we bring them along for a ride. It gives us a chance to be children ourselves all over again. We say, hey, there's big differences between the products and services. Huge differences, just even locally. Let's take hotels for example. Hotels provide a service, right? And the service is a room. You don't take the room home with you. You can't use it later. If it was a product, you could put the product of a room on the shelf and use it remotely. The issue with that for the hotel is like, hey, if we have vacant rooms today that do not get sold by tomorrow, we'll never get that back ever again. The money that we should have for that. Right? So we know that service can be challenging. It's perishable. Right? That room is gone. We lost that money. So what can the service do? A hotel, motel? Well, you show up at 1 in the morning and you're like, hey, I just need a room for one night. You think you can cut me a deal, right? You may call, so you call, think you can cut me a deal. They're probably more willing to do so. Why? Because if they don't, then they lose some money. Right? It's 1 in the morning. Pretty much nobody else can come and get that. Right? Probably let you agree. Because the room is gone, they would have lost that. So it's variable too. What you're going to pay for the service varies. Another example. If you go to the same restaurant, let's say there's this restaurant I go to, and they have like the best coffee I ever had. I kind of go there every morning to get my coffee. Sometimes I even go in the afternoon. Right? But first thing in the morning, you're like, hey, that services change. So this is a challenge. When we talk about products, we're talking about form. The form may not remain the same. Maybe it needs to be in a smaller package. Why? Because that culture doesn't consume the way that we consume it. We consume in big bulks of things. There's a can of soda, giant coffee this big, first thing in the morning. Right? The food that we eat in orders is huge portions. Right? Hence, we're larger. We're a larger group of human beings, really. Right? You may go to Far East, let's say Japan, and people physically are not that large. One of the cases dealing with Dyson, if you're familiar with Dyson, they make vacuum cleaners, right? Another still suction, right? They noticed that there was an issue with, say, housewives, let's say, 34 years ago, with cleaning up the house, right? The housewives generally, women were typically at the house, and then was typically working 40 years ago. And the complaint was that the vacuum cleaners had this bag that you had to like dump, in the process of dumping this bag was just a complete mess, right? And so Dyson came up with a bagless vacuum cleaner, right? So they sort of adapted or modified the product. When they really started to expand to other markets, particularly in Japan, they were concerned, right? People say market research, that the Japanese saw that the vacuum cleaner was too large. Right? They're like, well, that's a vacuum cleaner that has a size for people in the West who are much taller, much bigger. Right? So they had to modify the size. And so they created sort of a smaller version of the same vacuum cleaner. Right? Smaller, shorter in height, right? A little bit lighter as well too. So we say things like that, even the actual form, the size, you have to consider how tall are they. You may say people in Scandinavia or the Netherlands, they might be really tall people on average, right? Even the women, really, really tall individuals. So you may need to adapt or modify the attributes, the form factor of, say, even a vacuum. It needs to be ergonomically comfortable. You have to feel comfortable with it. So we'll talk a little bit more about strategies, right? We're thinking of strategies, what needs to be changed. Maybe even for your projects, implement some of these sort of talking points about modifications, the changes that need to happen. All right, so we also said too, there's two things we can do. We know we can standardize the product, leave it alone, right? And try to kind of influence the market. So we leave the product alone. Why we leave it alone? We make more money that way. Right? Coca-Cola has a manufacturing plant, and they're pushing out the same products. They don't need to go build another plant, get new equipment, right? Modify the product, try to transport different bundles. That's going to cost a lot of money, right? But kind of keep what you got going to save money. And so that you can keep the cost of the product down, right? So you don't have to increase it, you got a more expensive Coca-Cola. The market may in turn respond and say, no, it's too pricey, I'll bypass it. No thanks, Coca-Cola. I'll bypass it. So we say standardization kind of yields more profitability, right? Because it's economies of scale, right? You just can easily push out millions and billions of units of stuff, right? To capture the market, to push out the yield. Adaptation. You say, well, adaptation can also be good, but it depends on context. We say it may be good in an emerging market, maybe one that's not completely developed. Ones that are developed, like the U.S., people already solidified their tasting preferences. They may not be open, they may not have the personalities and openness to consider the ideas of new stuff, right? New concepts, So it has pros and cons as well too. So we say, well, adaptation, it may stifle the amount of units that you can push out there, but maybe if you patches on, you may use less marketing, which is less expensive for you, and maybe you can capture the market that you're marketing. All right, so we're talking about physical, service, and symbolic attributes. All right, so we already covered what's the product. Right, products would be physical objects, services, right? Services can be a product. Like I said, you go to a restaurant, you consume food is a product, but the service is the overall experience. Products can be people, right? People can be products. Places can be products. I'm going to take a trip, right? Well, let's go take a trip. So, the product, like, what do you mean? Hotel, flight, stuff I'm gonna do there, there's a bunch of stuff. The place, the consumption of the place. Speaking of places, Southwest Airlines, right? Provides a service, right? And the service is flights. So what is the value that Southwest Airlines provides versus its competitors? Who here flies Southwest? Tell me, so we're talking about attributes, stuff about things. Right? What is it about Southwest, the attributes of Southwest, that makes you say that this is what I fly Southwest? There's a ton of other airlines that fly with I do Southwest. What is it?
Well, it's sometimes most of the time it's cheaper. Right now, well, you used to get 2 flights out for free.
It just changed it, right?
Cheaper, so.
Okay. Mike says, so, affordability, bags, right? Always a big concern, it was like, we get the ticket price, but I have to extra $80, right, for a big bag. And you get to select your seat. Anything else?
What is that, and also the point system, and being able to cancel a flight, but still like have that point for that flight, so you can just book another one. Some airlines don't let you do that.
Yeah, you're like, hey, okay, Southwest has great benefits of rewards and points and flexibility. You cancel, not the end of the world, you can transfer it, right? And save it for later for something else. Anything else? Right, so we say, hey, those are some great attributes, and obviously it works, having classifies Southwest. It's about making things easy, right? Southwest seems pretty easy to go about booking flights and taking care of stuff, right? We make Apple the same. Essentially, what Apple does is Apple kind of waits and sit back, right? So Samsung, you'll see your friends with the Galaxy out, and you think, oh, why I need to do that? Or you Google, oh, like, you do that on your phone, like that. Like, Apple doesn't have that, right? It's like, well, why? Like, even Apple finds that to be not as necessary for everyday use, and they haven't perfected it, right? So Apple usually perfects something to make it easy to use, right? But there are some people who are very tech savvy and they go into their Androids and settings and they just do all this crazy stuff. And that's not the average person. The average person simply is using like 9 apps about 80, 90% of the time, right? And use very simple kind of functions for that. And that's what Apple goes for, and that's why they're successful. So what Apple does is about simplification, kind of perfecting the technology, kind of for the everyday person, and creating a superior aesthetic design, kind of keeping, perfecting the simplification of the form of the phone. Organizations can be products, right? Ideas. So we would say organizations, we could say, remember we said not-for-profits. Right? Oh my gosh, St. Jude's Cancer Research. Here's my money, St. Jude. Why? I love you as an organization. Great marketing. I think you're doing great stuff for the children. Here's my money. Thank you. Right? I don't need anything back. Right? We bought into an organization. An idea, things like Kickstarter. Anybody remember Kickstarter? Right. So, Kickstarter. Like, hey, here's my idea, here's the patent. We're gonna come up with this product in 6 months. You contribute $100, be a first-time investor. Help us launch this product. Help us launch this idea. Or some combination of these. Like, going back to people, we say, what's an example of people data product? People data product that you buy. Sports. Yeah. My favorite players on the team, that's why I showed up. Pay X amount of dollars to be here. I'm going to pay to get the best first day seats so I can see my future Chicago Cubs players right here. I get 3 of them. I get 3 future Chicago Cubs players making maybe $15 million a year. I get a picture. Right? I'll pay $80 to go see my favorite baseball players. Right, or it could be a combination of some of these. All right, so just to review, we already went over this. We say a car, hey, physical attributes, physical benefit, service, symbolic. What luxury cars do you like? What's your dream car? You can tell me your dream car. Anyone likes Maserati? No? Do you like Maserati?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, right? Crappy car. Beautiful car. Right? Well, I know it's a crappy car, the build quality is crappy, not the design and all that, not like knocking it. But you gotta probably only keep it for like 2 years. Not even that. If we could go on Facebook Marketplace and look at a 4 or 5 year old Maserati, you could probably buy it for like $23,000. But brand new, some ridiculous stuff. Like, why? Because it probably costs $20-some thousand just to maintain it for a year. Like, it's that insane of the maintenance of that, right? You call it Italian parts, specialized dealers, you can't go anywhere, you just can't, it's a headache, right? I know a few people who own Maserati. But beautiful car. So maybe like we still buy it. No, we will buy it because it makes us feel good and it's a beautiful car. There's a lot of cars that I like. They're beautiful. Rolls Royce, Bentley. Bentley. I say the British name. Range Rover I really love. But the British don't make good quality cars. They make them some of the most beautiful. In my opinion, the most sophisticated cars. Aston Martin, Bentley, Rolls Royce, Range Rover. You would never want to own one unless it's maybe like leasing. Right? It's can only lease it for a year or 2 and I'll switch cars. Right? So it's only for a certain type of buyer. You either have to be extremely wealthy to where it just lease every year, every 2 years. But if you're just trying to actually own a vehicle, no, you probably pay $50,000 in years. Right? Hence why, those type of cars, you probably buy it like buy one from the 1950s, 60s, or 40s or something like that. But we still buy it, right? For different attributes. Ferrari. Think of Ferrari. Who likes Ferrari? Yeah. Ferrari is extremely difficult to own. Anyone knows about like the buying process of Ferrari? Like, so if you want to say, I want to buy me a brand new Ferrari, no one that just can't. You can't. You can't buy it from Ferrari, a Ferrari dealership. Ferrari has its own protocols for what it classifies as kind of minimum. So Ferrari, we buy a vehicle. They basically say you have to buy these two older crappy cars, Ferrari, before we will allow you to maybe potentially buy the car that you want. Maybe. Right? So Ferrari is like protecting its brand in a ridiculous manner. Even if you have the money, you're going to be a billionaire. Right? I just want to buy it. There's money. Where is that now? Right? So it's a certain club to protect the brand. And what they do is really if they see you, and here's the rules too, they're like, oh, well, you bought the Ferrari. If we see you promoting it or advertising with other cars around, taking pictures, and there's like a Ford, Lamborghini, they're like, you're done. You're not getting on my cars from us, and we might send a lawsuit. Literally. Literally. But like, well, okay. Some people like that though. Some people like, it's an exclusive club. You know? So only real enthusiasts, people who are passionate about the history, get the books, and read about the races and stuff. Right? So they have a lot of Ferrari car events like that. But then for the average person, like, you know, I want to deal with that. You can't tell me what to do with the car. I pay for the product, do what I want. I can paint it, bring add some mods to it or something like that. Right? So it's not for everybody. But it's for some people. The one I have is maybe about like 8 years old. But my brother-in-law has been working for Ferrari for like 35 years. So, you know, kind of get like the perks. Okay, perfume, physical, benefits, service, and symbolic, right? Feminine or masculine sex. Service is type of salespeople, benefits, deodorize, contours, track, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so we say, hey, arguments in favor of adaptation. We did kind of talk about this and had a little group discussions last class about this. All right, so some arguments in favor of adaptation or in favor of standardization. For physical attributes, we say, 1, a cost-reducing adaptation, local standards, hygiene and safety regulations, local marketing knowledge, consumer behavior, marketing, and physical environments. Right? So we say, hey, you know, we probably should modify or adapt to this culture, right? Because there's some standards, there's some laws. You can't standardize here, right? You have to change it. You can't put those chemicals and sell it here, right? You can't do this. Another classic example is Dasani water. Who drinks Dasani water or has drunk? Right? Coca-Cola owns Dasani water. How you feel about Dasani?
Is that the one that puts like chemical in there to make you more thirsty? Is that it?
Yeah. Oh, I thought they put sodium in there too. Sodium actually very salt, right? And basically what it is filtered tap water with some additives that we can, right? And so they tried to enter the European market. Once you know, so the EU kind of really big on organic, fresh, not adding all these extra chemicals, things like that. And Dasani kind of failed in Europe. It failed in Europe because people were like, oh, we don't like the taste and the fact that this is not real kind of spring water. This is just basically filtered tap water with some additives. Right? Coca-Cola trying to be a little sneaky there. It didn't work, right? So the European market has a preference for things like Evian, right? Fresh spring water. Okay, we say, hey, we may adapt because there might be some local marketing knowledge. Maybe we'll work with some individuals that have knowledge in that local market. Maybe people use different products differently, right? They don't use them the same as US. Some favors and arguments in favor of standardization. Experience effects, right? We already know how the effect is with the experience of the product. Economies of scale, international standards, maybe there are no different standards. Maybe it's sort of a global standard. Right? One of them can kind of be cars. Cars typically have good international standards, making it easy to sell one car or another in a different market. Or international product use, things that are simple, right? Think of like brushes and toilet paper. Service attributes are in favor of adaptation. Limited savings related to scale, local peculiarities in service, maintenance, and distribution. In favor of standardization with a significant learning effects or mobile clientele. And some symbolic attributes favor of adaptation, unfavorable image of imported products. So maybe we say we rebrand the product because they have a bad sort of image of our brand here in the US. So what we do, we kind of reimagine the brand in a different market, give it a different name, different color box, packaging, et cetera, et cetera. Nationality or brand name, inadequate meaning conveyed by color, shape, et cetera, right? And in favor of standardization for symbolic attributes, we say favorable image of imported products or the company, nationality or brand, exotic or ethnic appeal, demands for universals. So we say, hey, you know what? Exotic or ethnic appeal. We see that with entertainment. Bollywood films are huge. We like the colors, we like the music, the cultural artifacts in the movies. The stories are usually really simple, right? But it's an exotic appeal, right? We like that exotic appeal. On the flip side, right, we see K-pop, right? Korean pop. We see Japanese culture embracing hip-hop, big time, right? So some things are easily transferable because there's a huge exotic or ethnic appeal. It's almost seen as counterculture in these places, like a pushback, kind of going against the tradition, going against the brand. All right, some physical attributes. Compulsory adaptations we can make, right? We say, well, you know, it might be the climate. Usual sizes and packaging, technical standards, hygiene regulations, and basic difference in customer tastes. Some new production methods allow for better compromise between customized products and large-scale manufacturing operations. Different products on common parts, some lag differentiation, and international product design. We just talked about services. We say, hey, key differences from products, services are intangible. You can't touch services. You can't touch how great the wait staff was. You can't touch your experience at the restaurant. You can't touch what it's like to stay in a hotel. You can't touch the experience you had traveling to Bali, right? Perishability. We said, hey, if you don't sell the room today, that money's gone. Never coming back. You gotta sell the room today, or else it's gone. You gotta sell the seats at the ball game. If not, it's gone. You lost money. You gotta sell the seats at the concert. There's open seats. It's perishable. It died. Service capacity, right? There's a capacity for service. May not be a capacity, well, it could be a higher capacity than bigger products. We say products we can store products, right? We can hold them for a very, very long time on the shelf, use them later. Service capacity, no, not so much. There's only so much space you have for people to move around, or put up a theme card, or things like that. Customer involvement. Right? I was thinking about the kiosks at McDonald's. I was also thinking about the apps for McDonald's and how McDonald's truly is phasing out workers. And, you know, you think about it, like, well, the problem with workers at McDonald's is that you are getting a fast service and there can be a lot of errors in what you order. Like, well, so, okay, we have an issue with errors. Well, we let the people order. They're not gonna make an error. They're the ones who have to think like this, right? It's your problem. But if someone else is like, oh, what happened? I ordered, you know, no tomato. I was tomato. Right? Oh, I didn't put it in here, right? So we say, hey, human beings, we have these flaws when it comes to service and even consistency. Right? So they're kind of adapting more of a standardization with the service of using the McDonald's app so you can order exactly what you want. That also helps for it to be ready as soon as you get there. Right? Hopefully there's not an error in preparing it as it would with a human being. But you may lose something. When we say symbolism, you may lose something. What do you think you lose symbolically with all the technology standard?
Like customer service.
Yeah, you're like, that's not really customer service, right? If you did all this automated stuff, right? Like something's lagging, right? Maybe you like the process of talking. Hey, that's good morning. Hey, good morning. Right? I'll be with you. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let me get such and such. Like have a little banter, right? But if all these restaurants are automated, like, well, I don't really know what the service is. Right? Well, service is kind of dwindling. But with services, there's high customer involvement. Remember we say a service is, okay, let's go back to the Maserati. I bought the Maserati, but I need that warranty. So you know the Maserati loses 80% of its value in the first 5 years. So make sure I got that service warranty, so I feel good about that. I got a service person that helps me out when I have an issue. Right? It's a little glitch in the computer system. This went away. So it's a lot of high involvement, right? Even in a restaurant. The server is consistently pouring the water. Hey, are you okay? You guys okay? Need anything else? Like dessert? There's a serving, et cetera, et cetera. High involvement. Or if you're buying a laptop or something technical, you need people to kind of explain it to you, right? All the attributes of it. So it says some elements, repair and maintenance. Right? You buy a refrigerator, a microwave, a stove. You don't know how to repair a refrigerator, microwave, or stove. Right? You need some specialists to do it. So there's some elements of service. Installation, right? Helping you to install these devices. Right? You may not be comfortable installing a gas stove on your home or your house. They want a professional to do that. Right? Instructions, right? We can't read it, we don't want to. Nobody wants to read all that stuff, right? So I got paid all this money and I gotta read all this stuff to figure out how to use it. I would have somebody explain it to me, right? Right, think of this. You all are customers of a service. Service of what? You're pursuing education as a service. Now I think, what's the product? What's the product here that you're consuming?
Classes. Classes.
Yeah, you can say courses, subjects. What's the ultimate product?
A degree.
Degree, right? That I got the full product, right? Other services would be like, hey, man, I play on a sports team. They provide me an opportunity. They provide me an experience. And even if I don't play on a sports team, your college experience matters. You're like, oh man, we made great friends. I stayed in the dorms, right? Here's some really good professors that communicated with. Just had a great time, wonderful experience. Right? May regret leaving college, right? Big world. Right? So we say there's some elements of service there too, and some problems. But back to service attributes, waiting time. McDonald's is not McDonald's if you wait 15 minutes for a burger. It's no longer McDonald's, something else. Right? McDonald's should be fast. I gotta wait 15 minutes this is not fast food. This is slow food. Right? Guarantees or warranties as we call them. We may be risk averse. So think about introducing like insurance or investment in a foreign country. That could be potentially risk averse. Like, I don't, that seems too risky. What can you do to persuade, to market? You say, here's some guarantees. You pay that, right? You guarantee this amount of coverage or insurance or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So guarantees are important. Spare parts availability, important. Return of goods, to be able to return it, right? You buy something expensive, you probably would be like, wait, you guys have a no return policy? I'm not gonna buy it, right? It's kind of too risky. This doesn't work out, I'm stuck with it. Environmental factors, technical expertise, labor costs, literacy, right? There's some places that don't have high literacy. There's some places that have very high labor costs. Here in the U.S., we have like the highest labor costs, right? But we have unions. Remoteness and performance, right? How easy is it to get out to where you are, and how well does it perform? Some other service attributes: difficult to standardize, differences in delivery systems, limited potential for pure economies of scale, some potential for economies related to learning, and delivery process is very cultural. Here we have cultural dimensions and automated services, right? We're saying dimension of effectivity and neutrality. One with being and one with doing, right? So we say with effectivity, there's a strong preference for personal in contact, right? Also, with doing, there would be lights machine, but will light personnel also. Right, so different dimensions depending on the culture here with personnel. Neutrality. Does not like the machine, but does not like people either. Or strongest preference for purely automated service. Some cultures don't really want to deal with people, right? They're kind of like, I want the thing and I want to be left alone. Right? Others like the in-person contact, the dimension of being able to call and talk and have these conversations about their purchase. Thank you. And when it comes to quality and quality control, what does 99% quality mean, right? We have things like Six Sigma, right? And all these sort of protocols on quality and efficiency, right? How can we measure it? So here, what does 99% quality mean? How many hours of safe drinking water per month? How many unsafe plane landings per month? Right? We've seen a lot of that with the plane issues. We may be affected by that and think that planes are not planes, the air traffic controllers, pilots, something is not up to speed and quality right now, right? That could be our perception. May not be true. Right? It could just be the media. But it ultimately does affect us, right? Because we do hear people not flying as much. How many babies dropped at birth per year, right? It could be with daycares. How many checks taken from the wrong accounts each year if we're banking as a service, right? These are things that we may find to be important to us in terms of quality. How many parts missing from every new car, and how many times your heart fails to beat each year? And then lastly, we'll talk about symbolic associations related to physical attributes, the color of a product, right? We say certain colors have symbolic attributes. In China, red is power, it is energy, it is history, right? For China. Here, red is a pretty favorable color as well, too. We love it. We love the color of Ferrari, we love the color of Coca-Cola. Red is energetic, right? Here, black color could be associated with, I don't know, kind of death, right? We go to funerals, we wear on black, the culture. Right? We go to another culture, it's not the same. Right? Black could be seen as powerful and lively, right? And good luck. And Far East, a lot of cultures. Right, all sorts of colors, right? We could say, hey, purple, could appear in royalty, regal, something that was sort of meaning something else. Somewhere. The shapes, right? Shapes matter as well, too. Meanings related to the brand name, the product, or the corporation. We saw that with things like Kit Kat, right? Kit Kat has success in Japan. We saw Coca-Cola had issues in China, trying to keep the name Coca-Cola. Doesn't translate that very well. Connotative meaning to product design and aesthetics. Does it appear functional? Is it easy to use? Is it modern? Is it luxurious? Right? Product design. I was looking on, like randomly, like Versace, I don't know, came up on my feed or something. And, I always go look at how ridiculous these products are that people buy. And they had a water bottle. And it was like $450. Right? Like $450. And it was just a black water bottle with a little fake gold cap and the Versace logo. Right? But you're like, somebody's paying for it. Right? Why? Because it's luxury. People want to feel that they can buy stuff that maybe others can't. Or makes them feel self-esteem, or make them feel exclusive to a degree. Does it look modern? Does it look old? Some things do look cool, right? If they're not sort of innovative. Some things just look modern even if they're old. And is it easy to use? And consumer perceptions of product origin. If they are searching for this information, is it available? They take origins into account. Where is it made in? Right here we have a negative connotation. Usually when it comes to made in China, we think it's an inferior product. Right? We think made in America is better. We think made in Italy is luxury, is awesome. We think things made in Germany are superior in quality and engineering. Right? We have kind of different connotations. It may not be true, right? Because China makes some pretty good products. Even their electric vehicles, I would say, probably are the leaders in the world right now, as we speak. Right? But we don't take any issue here with made in, really, Apple. I don't even know. Who has a 16? On the back of it, does it says assembled in China still? Did they remove that?
No, they just removed it. I think they removed it.
They removed it, right? Like, well, the designed in Cupertino, California, assembled in China. Like, what's it? Just say the name. Right. They manufacture the product. It's a manufacturing. You got the patent, you got the design, designers and engineers in California, Silicon Valley, like the Fed. You know, all different tactics can be used. Made in Italy, like, how much of it? Like, 2%. It's like, well, the standards allow us to put it as long as you meet the metric of 10% of the core elements come from Italy. Right, what about the 90%? Like, well, according to these international standards, you put made in Italy. Made in Italy. Right? 10%. You know, now we do upsell, upcharge. Or country suggested by the brand name, right? There's some, brands that actually carry the name of a country. And depending on what's going on with that country, how that country is viewed, might really affect the brand name around the world. It may be in a military conflict or some political dispute or, some atrocities happening. All right, well, in there, we got a few blurbs, so who wants to go first? And then, who else is on? Just three.
So I did mine. There's like an article based on like the stock market and kind of what's going on right now with tariffs and all. And they said like the stock market crash. I think it was last Monday maybe is when it took like a big turn. And then Trump came out and said actually to expect disruption was his quote. And a lot of economists fear there's a potential recession on the way due to some of these tariffs, among other things. And then one of the things that companies he's giving relief to, Volkswagen, they get a month of relief, but not BMW, which I think is important because BMW manufactures their cars, I think like in North Carolina, I believe, but they moved and they have manufacturing plants here, but obviously they're a German manufacturing company, which is probably why they're not getting a month of relief, because then Stellantis, they're also getting a month of relief, and they produce some of like the higher end luxury cars, but they also produce Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, which are all like American companies. So again, that's I'm assuming why they get a month relief and not some of the other car companies. And then it's already proven to boost the Chinese market apparently, which also isn't ideal because that wasn't the goal. But yeah.
Just your observations or your readings or anything you can say out there. Do you see any other reasons why some of the market is going down?
I mean, I think part of it's just like people like the back and forth, like with the politics, because I mean, honestly, because Trump says one thing and does another, I think a lot of people, whenever there's like fear, people tend to like pull their money out. And then I think from some of the stuff I've read too, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I also think that they could potentially be crashing the market on purpose so
luxury, affordable luxury type of stores that just have too many stores in our areas. All right, excellent, thank you. Who used to shop at Forever 21? And then they security guys stuff too, I think I'm about to be yeah, Forever 21 used to be a hit. I remember they stood on Michigan Avenue, that was really popular. I think Shaquille O'Neal, who has a lot of money invested in it too.
So I did mine on JD Vance and his social media use. So this article was just basically talking about how much he's used it and how some people side with him and some side against him. But I think it's good that he's using it. He does use it a lot and he sparks a lot of arguments, but at least he's being more, like, I guess, transparent with the voters and with everybody. But he has posted like an outrageous amount. Like he posts like
Twitter, there's mostly Twitter.
mostly Twitter, but he posts like 3 times a day, pretty much on average, which is crazy. But,
Yeah. Do you know if for a lot of these politicians, if it's them actually posting or they kind of have someone that?
So I saw a stat, apparently out of the 300 posts he's made, since he's been elected, he's posted like 140 of them.
I don't know if these stat numbers.
Yeah, it could be, but for like the ones that he actually writes like 99% of them. So.
Yeah, and also could be a tactic for popularity too, right?
Yeah.
You figure you're vice president and like, oh, I don't do enough about me, Trump leaves, right? I want everybody to know about me.
Yeah.
Probably a good tactic to just even be a provocateur. Like
Yeah,
just
definitely.
kind of start controversy.
Yeah, that's gotta be what he's doing.
Yeah. All right, excellent, great. All right, class, that's it for today. Continue working on your projects, and we'll go over that Tuesday. Maybe we'll spend a significant time looking at that. And I will see you next week. Have a great week.